Hello to all of you FGO connoisseurs. I am Dedazzy and today we will be looking at my top 5 single target lancers in FGO. A quick note. This is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. Also, Melozine won't be here or the AoE Lancer list in the future for that matter, she'll probably be number 1 in both. And I refuse to think that the devs were sober when they designed her. One more thing before we start. Subscribe now. Okay, let's start. Coming up at number 5 we have the man, the myth, the legend, Ku. Now before you complain why he's not higher, as amazing as he is still a 3-star, so his stats aren't as good, but who cares? This guy is still better than most 4-star lancers in the game. And best thing is that everyone has him. First skill, which got buffed, it's now a guts on a very high uptime and gives him an attack buff depending on how much HP he had when he activated this skill. Keep in mind that his playstyle revolves around survival, so most of the time he won't be at full HP, an amazing skill that fits perfectly to his playstyle. Second skill is the good old protection from arrows. It gives a permanent 3 times evade and defense up for 3 turns. This skill is probably the best defensive skill in the game to this day, and there is a reason why no new servants have this, since the devs realized how broken it is. Third skill is a normal disengage. Nothing crazy, but it fits well with his playstyle. Anti-Berserker Append is always good to have. And then there is the NP. It ignores evasion and deals very solid damage. It then has a chance to insta-kill, but who cares, and lowers the enemy's defense for 3 turns. A very solid NP. Everyone knows Ku is top tier, but I couldn't put him higher on the list because of the stats difference. Coming up at number 4 is everyone's favorite Senpai, Lancer YU. Not only is she one of the hottest servants in the game, she also one of the best welfares that we got. The reason I have her here and not Kagetora is because you can still get her in the next summer run on NA unlike Kagetora, but they are equally good in my opinion. Anyways, Yu's first skill is a guts on a very high uptime and an NP gain up for 3 turns. She also gets an additional 20% NP gain up if she's on a sunny battlefield and an additional 20% when on a waterside battlefield. In perfect case scenario she'll get up to 60% NP gain on a good uptime, which is just amazing. Second skill makes her taunt herself and a targetable NP battery. It's a decent skill. Third skill is a quick up for herself and a 50% crit up for the party on a high uptime. This skill is amazing. 50% is nothing to underestimate. In comparison, Hans crit buff is only 40% on the same uptime. Passives could be better. Then there is the NP. It deals extra damage to male enemies. It also applies curse and burn, but no one cares. And since you get her at NP 5 for free, I can in all honesty say that male enemies will just be deleted. A very good boss killer indeed. Coming up at number 3 we have Brainholder. This servant has the extraordinary ability of avoiding me. Despite that, she is definitely a top tier lancer to this day. Her first skill is a better mana burst, since I prefer different damage buffs to just one. Still a mana burst though. Could use a buff. Second skill which got buffed. It's now an NP battery which massively lowers one enemy's crit chance for 3 turns and NP damage for 1 turn. The NP battery is nice and all, but don't underestimate the crit down debuff. It's on a decent uptime and 50% is massive. A very good skill. Third skill is a targetable solid heal, strong star absorb and a crit buff on a high uptime. This skill is amazing. She can single-handedly turn any normal crit servant to a top tier 1. Her boyfriend comes to mind. She can also use it on herself, so it's quite flexible. Then there is her NP. She deals extra damage to her beloved, which despite being one of the most confusing traits in the game, it's still not that rare. She also gives the party a big star gen buff for 3 turns. A very good NP overall. A shame her boyfriend isn't as good in comparison. Coming up at number 2, and I know many of you will disagree with me, it's Summer Tamamo. What can I say? I am a Tamamo simp. This servant has amazing star gen and NP gain, quite close to Okita actually, but that wasn't enough to be on this list. However, her latest buff was just stupidly good, and I truly believe she's top tier again. Her first skill is a slightly better charisma. Still a charisma though, so nothing crazy. Second skill is a guaranteed charm. Reduces defense for 3 turns and applies curse for 5 turns. It however increases the NP gauge of the enemy by 1 as a demerit. This skill is very good. The charm will almost always land on anyone and the demerit isn't that bad since you're most likely to use it when the enemy is about NP next turn. Her third skill, which got buffed, and boy this buff made the happiest man alive for a while. It single-handedly made her go from mediocre to top tier overnight. Bring some snack and get comfy since this skill is packed. It gives her invincibility for 1 turn. Increase her crit damage and star generation by 50% on a decent uptime. It also gives her NP gain up, debuff resistance up and heal rate up for 1 turn. To top all this off, she also gets her NP battery. What the fuck? This skill is absolutely insane. An invincibility on a 6-turn cooldown is the average anyways, but having all of this on top is just stupid. Keep in mind that her NP gain and star gen is already amazing, but now it's not even funny. Good passives. Anti-Berserker Append is always good to have. And then there is the NP. It deals extra damage against male enemies since it targets their weak point. Unfortunately, since it didn't get buffed and this is the only effect, it's not that amazing. However, remember that she can easily spam it. She's honestly just amazing nowadays and she is number 1 in my heart, but there is one servant that I can't deny of being number 1. Before we get to that, here are some honorable mentions. Firstly, Nagao Kagetora. I've already stated why she isn't on the list, but she is a welfare amazing boss killer and I use her a lot. Secondly, we have Shishao. It pains me not having her here since she's one of my favorites, but I just hate how bad her NP gain is, and her latest buff isn't really enough to get her on the list. Anyways, coming up at number 1. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out who it is. Mama Raikou. I mean, look at her. Thanks Virgil. Coming up at number 1, it's none other than Mr. Clay himself, Enkidu. Despite it's not gay of its Clay being what's most known about him, he is without a doubt worthy of being called the Chains of Heavens. He has a weird deck, but that doesn't matter, since his star gen and his NP gain are actually quite good, mainly thanks to his arts card. Much like a certain goddess we know of, first skill is a better mana burst, in which is a chance to give either a quick or an arts mana burst on top of the buster one. It's a decent skill. Second skill, which got buffed, it now applies evasion. It also removes an enemy's evasion and lowers his crit chance by 50% on a high uptime. This skill is amazing, and I feel like it gets overlooked. Evasion on a 5-turn cooldown is already above average, but with these effects as well, it just makes this skill insane. Third skill, and this is what gives him the solo potential. It's almost a full heal and a debuff cleanse. It has a very hefty cooldown though, so don't expect to use this skill more than once. Passives could be better. Anti-Berserker Append is always good to have. And then there is the NP. And boy is it an NP. It's a buster nuke that lowers the enemy's defense significantly for 3 turns and is guaranteed to stun divine enemies. Also, if you happen to be fighting threat to humanity enemies, you will most likely one-shot them. This NP is absolutely absurd. It does so much damage it's not funny. He just deletes enemies off the map. An amazing servant overall. Plus he's not limited or story locked, so you can get spooked by him or get him from the free SSR ticket. Do you agree with the list? Let's discuss it down in the comment section. Be sure to check out my top 5 AoE archers and my top 5 series. That's it for this video. Now like and subscribe for this shitty channel. Bye.